Welcome back to another episode of Critically Incorrect, your weekly gaming podcast. I'm your host, Brandon, online here today with Charlie, if you wanted to say hi.
Hello.
Yeah, we got quite a busy stuff, quite a lot of stuff to talk about this week. We skipped last week. Once again, if you're not in our Discord, make sure to jump in our Discord because that's where we always update everyone on the current status of the podcast. Just wasn't a lot to talk about last week, and we figured we'd wait a week. And we're now at a point where we got a lot to talk about this week. So yeah, a lot of VR news, a lot of just cool game announcements, movie stuff, just a lot to talk about. So yeah, as we always start off these episodes, we talk about what we've been playing in terms of gaming. So yeah, Charlie, over the last 2 weeks or so, what have you been playing gaming wise? I know you got a Steam Deck now.
Yeah, I've actually been playing a lot, mainly because of the Steam Deck. I've been trying to just mess about and try as much stuff on it as possible. I mean, I got it here. For the people that are watching, right? I'll give them a show of what it looks like. It's freaking massive, man. Like it is big. I took a picture of it next to my Switch, and yeah, it is a chunky boy. Um, but yeah, man, I'm really enjoying it. I've been using it basically every day since it showed up. Because I've just been taking it to work with me. And I've just been playing on my lunch breaks and stuff. Mainly Fall Guys, because I got Fall Guys working on it. Which
Shit.
is a game that is actually unsupported by default, but some people did some magic with the config files so you can get it to work. So I've been playing a lot of Fall Guys on there, which has been a lot of fun. I did install stuff like Red Dead 2, which is insane to think you can get that running at 60 FPS if you lower some of the settings,
What?
which is crazy. like obviously the battery life just drains like crazy when you put it at 60, but the fact that you can do it is crazy to me. So I haven't played too much of it on there yet, but I am planning to play a bit more of that locked at 30. I beat Hades on it, so that was like the first game that I properly played through on there. So yeah, that ran absolutely fine. But yeah, overall, it's just a fun device to use. It's pretty straightforward. It's a little bit more complicated when you want to get some of the other launchers working, like Epic and Origin and that kind of stuff. Just because you have to do some weird things with like adding it onto your Steam library to get Proton working and things. But once you've got it all set up, it's pretty straightforward. And any of the games that are on Steam OS that are verified just work. Like it's really well done. I haven't played a game yet that doesn't run well. Like there hasn't been a game I've wanted to try that I've gone, okay, this just doesn't run at all. Um, Obviously there's some games that are just unsupported. Stuff like I was gonna play Max Payne on it, but Max Payne 1 just doesn't work. For whatever reason, just doesn't like it. But like 2 and 3 do, so that's fine. And then a lot of multiplayer stuff doesn't work, mainly because of anti-cheat. But more games are starting to get support. Stuff like Apex works natively. Obviously people have gotten Fall Guys to work, so I imagine it will get native support at some point. But that'll probably be down to Epic because I know they've been a bit on the fence about like adding support for Fortnite and stuff. Just because it does open the uh, like games up to being basically hacked a bit more just because of Linux. So a lot of multiplayer stuff doesn't work, which is a shame. But maybe they'll start to get some of that to grips. But anything single player, I haven't had really any issues. And battery life's been pretty good to be honest. Especially because you can tweak like how much power it's using and stuff, so you can easily make it last 2 to 3 hours on some like higher end games, which is nice. I think from 100% you get about like 3 to 4 playing like Fall Guys, which is pretty decent at 60 FPS. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it. That's mainly where most of my time has been. Outside of that, I have been playing a bit of Battlefield this week, 2042, just because the new 4.0 patch came out this week, which fixed a ton of stuff. So I've been playing a bit of that and still having fun with it, but it does need some new content. So hopefully they don't delay the season 1 update again, because I think it's still slated for June, but who knows. But I'm still having fun with it. It runs about the same as it always has, but it's a hell of a lot less buggy since this patch. But there's still bugs. There's still a lot of work to be done, but it's a step in the right direction. But hopefully, when the new content comes out, that'll kind of give the game the boost it needs in player counts and things. But I'm still enjoying it. And then outside of that, I have played a little bit of VR here and there. I've been replaying Boneworks just because obviously the new game did get announced, so just playing a bit of that. Also playing a bit of the sandbox mode on it. Just having fun on that game again because I still love that game. But yeah, that's about it really. Like I said, it's mainly the Steam Deck over the past few weeks, so I haven't played too much else.
Right on. That's awesome to hear. Sounds interesting. As you're talking, I like checked my email. Still no email from Valve. But also I'm still on the fence. I checked Steam and they still say like April to June, so it
Yeah.
could be anything from like next week to next month. We'll
There
see.
there are like if you go on like the subreddit for Steam Deck, there is like this website that someone set up that based on like your number in the queue, it kind of calculates when you should be able to get one.
Mm,
Because if you go on Steam's website, you can like basically find your number in the queue because they made it visible by accident at one point.
mm.
Um, the prediction seems kind of correct. Like mine, I think was a week off, so I got it like a week before the prediction. But yeah, if you want to see when you might get your email, then maybe have a look.
Okay, for sure. Definitely look into that. But yeah, that's awesome to hear. Sounds very exciting. Just the fact that you can get like multiple hours and like Fall Guys and stuff like that just seems really cool. Yeah, that's awesome. In terms of what I've been playing, honestly, hasn't been that much. I've been kind of busy just like this last week. Like all my classes have just like aligned up with like deadlines and stuff. Um, I still want to go back to Elden Ring at some point. Like I'm still really heavily invested in that game. It's just I don't know. It's a lot of mental power whenever you play those kind of games. And yeah, just lately, whenever I've had the chance to play, I've been like mentally exhausted. Um, I've started up like a few small things just to play for like a few minutes. Like I played through like the very beginning of Bioshock. I'm not sure if I mentioned that 2 weeks ago. I don't think so. But yeah, I played a bit of that. Um, Besides that, yeah, not much. Or like I played like 5 minutes of Terraria at one point, and like some Binding of Isaac as well. Just some small stuff when I had like 15 minutes to kill. Um, yeah, that's been pretty much the extent of it. We'll see if I can get any more in the next few weeks here. But yeah, I definitely need to go back to Elden Ring. But we'll move on to the releases this week. Essentially, only one thing really of note. Resident Evil 4 got a Mercenaries update. This is obviously the Resident Evil 4 for VR, so Oculus Quest 2. This was kind of announced part of the Meta Quest showcase, which we'll talk about here in a bit. But yeah, pretty cool to see that game get a free update. Did not expect that mode to come, to be honest. I thought this game would just be dropped and left alone. So I was surprised to hear they did that update, but that's awesome. And yeah, I definitely need to go back to Resident Evil 4 VR at some point. I was really into that when I played it. It was really, really good. I don't know, I stopped playing it, but that's definitely on there, high on the list to go back to. Need to play more games, honestly. I definitely need to. But yeah, we'll start with an actual announcement that happened last week. This was essentially going to be like the only thing we really talked about last week, or like one of the only things. And that's the fact that Kingdom Hearts 4 was announced as part of the series' 20th anniversary, rather. Yeah, there's a nice trailer. You definitely go watch it. Probably a lot of you that have watched the podcast watched the trailer already. Um, Looks really, really cool. Sora has like a new look to him. The game looks oddly like more realistic, kind of like Final Fantasy does. Although it's still to be determined whether or not that's just for this current world, right? I imagine Kingdom Hearts will still look very Disney and cartoonish in the other worlds. But yeah, currently it's being developed on Unreal Engine 4. It's going to be moved to Unreal Engine 5. It just looks really, really good. I imagine this thing is like years away, right? Like Kingdom Hearts games are always announced like years in advance, and then it takes a while before they come out. But it's nice to see it, like announced and released, and it gives more validity that Nvidia leak that happened a while ago. So I know like Final Fantasy IX was on there for like a remake, so that's probably happening now. But yeah, really exciting stuff. Charlie, what'd you think about the trailer?
Yeah, I think it looks really cool. I've played bits and pieces of Kingdom Hearts. I bought the collection just before 3 came out, and I remember I played through all of 1, and then I just got so burnt out that I never did any of the others. I have reinstalled the game so I can play like 2 and all the side games or whatever, the movies and all that kind of crap. Because I do want to play through them because I did really enjoy the first one. But yeah, 4 looks great. I saw some people were kind of mixed on like the visual style, but I'm pretty sure from what I've read, the visual style is because it's based in the fictional video game from Kingdom Hearts 3 or something, like the place he's in is one of the worlds or whatever that is in 3 basically. So that's why he looks a bit more realistic. Um, it also looked very much like Versus 13, which was obviously the game that eventually turned into Final Fantasy 15. Um, but like him like climbing up the building and then like dashing through like the collapsing building and sliding down stuff, like it was all very reminiscent of that first Versus 13 trailer, which is cool because I always liked the original premise of Versus 13. I didn't really like how it turned out. I wasn't a big fan of Final Fantasy 15. But yeah, it looks really cool. I'm definitely interested to play it when it does come out, but I do need to play the others first, and hopefully it won't take as long because I know they've said like this won't be as difficult as an engine move as 3 was, because 3 they ended up moving from one engine to I don't even know what they moved it over to, but I remember they said it was like a massive task to get that done. Whereas obviously moving a project from 4 to 5 is not going to be anywhere near as daunting, because Epic have made it a much easier task for people to move their projects over. So hopefully it won't require too much effort from the team to get that all figured out and working. But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that one.
Yeah, same here. Kingdom Hearts 3 was moved over, I think, from like some custom engine to Unreal Engine 4. So
Okay.
yeah, hopefully the move won't be that bad, especially since they've developed Kingdom Hearts 3 on Unreal Engine 4. So that's good. Like you, I've played half of one, so not as much as you have. I played through. I got back to like that original like Night City, right after like the Tarzan world. Like I think I'm like halfway through the game. Um, yeah, I don't know. It was good. It's just I got lost in that part, and I just didn't care to look up where to go next. And I was just like, I'll play something else. But it's definitely on the list to go back to. It was cool just seeing all the collaborations, and yeah, it was like I remember the combat being very weird, but I definitely want to go back to it at some point. Since I'll probably just start from the beginning, but yeah, I don't know. Kingdom Hearts is just one of those franchises like Persona where it's like I want to eventually go back to it. It's just a very big time commitment, and I already have a lot of games that are on my backlog. So yeah, who knows? Who knows? I'd like to say I'll have played the series before for it, but who knows if that will actually happen? I want to though. But yeah, anyways, a new story I've wanted to talk about for like a few weeks now, but for like the last 2 episodes, I forgot to mention. One Piece Odyssey was announced. Yeah, a new game. Um, obviously based on the manga and anime One Piece, which I am a big fan of. This was announced a part of the series' like 25th anniversary. They announced like a card, or they revealed more information on like a card game that's coming out this year. They revealed one of the actors for the Netflix live action show that everyone has been wanting to see, Shanks, and then they ended it off with a big game announcement. I have mixed opinions on this. I think first and foremost, the look looks really generic, and it looks exactly like World Seeker, which is another one of the One Piece games developed by or published by Bandai Namco. It looks like they straight up use the same assets, which is kind of annoying. But in like certain shots, it does look better. So who knows if it's just like currently how the game looks right now. Besides that, though, the genre is apparently going to be a turn-based JRPG, which is right up my alley. There's like a good snippet of like a bunch of moves at the end that look very much like it's a JRPG, which I think is a lot like of a better direction to take the series in, just because we have so many of these Bandai Namco games where you just spam buttons and do a bunch of anime moves, like those Pirate Warriors kind of games, right? It's exactly like that. So I think having a turn-based JRPG would be really, really good for the series. And yeah, the game's coming out later this year, and the story's being written by the manga creator Oda himself. So yeah, it'll be interesting how this ties into the story, but definitely looking forward to that. And yeah, just wanted a quick plug there. But yeah, we'll move on to the next announcement, and that is Bugsnax coming to Nintendo Switch and Xbox Game Pass. Alongside this is like a new update called the Isle of Bugsnax. So, or Big Snacks. Is it Big Snacks or Bugsnax?
It's
Is that a
Big
type
Snacks, yeah.
Big Snacks? Okay. Um, yeah, I don't have much thoughts on this because I have not beaten Bugsnax. I played like a little bit of it in the beginning, and I was like, why am I playing this over Demon Souls? And I went back. So yeah, PS5 launch had a lot of games, and this is just sadly one of those I didn't beat. But I believe you beat the game, right, Charlie?
I didn't. I
You did
didn't.
not. Okay,
I
damn.
got quite far. I think I played like 10 hours or something of the game, but I didn't beat it. Um, I enjoyed what I played. It just got quite repetitive.
Yeah.
And I've never been a big fan of like the whole Pokédex style of gameplay, right? Where you're going around collecting all these different creatures and stuff. Like, it's never really
Yeah.
been my thing. Um, but it's like a big like expansion style free update, so that's cool for those that want to play it. Plus, it's coming to Switch and Game Pass, so loads more people are gonna get to try it out now. It's weird that it's still not coming to PC though. Like, I'm surprised. Or actually, is it on Epic? It might be on Epic. Maybe
Maybe
I'm
it's on
forgetting
Epic.
that. Yeah, it might have come out on Epic the same day. Because I was gonna say it'd be weird if it wasn't on PC yet. Um,
It's on
but yeah,
Epic,
so
yeah.
it's okay, cool. So yeah, it's cool that more people are gonna get to play it. But yeah, I still need to go back and beat it at some point. But who knows if I ever will.
It's actually coming to Steam alongside this release.
Oh
I just
damn,
looked it
okay.
up. So yeah, it's coming to Steam next week. So that's cool. So yeah, I guess pretty much every major platform you want to play it on is now available. So yeah, if you want to play Bugsnax, now's the chance. Yeah, that's awesome. I probably won't go back to it. There's a lot of games I want to play, and I'm not going to play Bugsnax before them. Man, I hate having a backlog. But the game was not bad. Like, it was, I remember it had a good use of the dual sense. And the story seemed rather interesting. It's just like what Charlie said. It's just collecting them got boring pretty fast. I actually made it like a decent way through the game. Like a few hours into it, I was streaming it. Just, yeah, I don't know. That gameplay loop isn't for me. But cool to see that it's getting a next, another big push. So, yeah, right on. Anyways, this prize news story for me, just because of how weirdly timed this is that Warzone's doing a collaboration with Godzilla versus Kong. This is going to be an event. Honestly, I don't know many details on this. Is it supposed to be like a live event? Is it supposed to be like a seasonal event? Uh, do you know, Charlie?
They haven't even really said, to be honest. They put up a
Great.
teaser. I think it's happening next week, or like May or something like that. And it's meant to be like, I don't know if it's like a limited time thing or what. But in the trailer, they're like fighting on a World War II island, and alongside this, they've also like Snoop Dogg's in the game now. So I don't even really know what's going on with with Vanguard,
Bruh.
to be honest. You got Snoop Dogg fighting in a battle royale whilst Godzilla and King Kong are battling it out.
Just trying to
That's what
compete with
we all
Fortnite.
wanted from our realistic, gritty World War II game. So
Like, Fortnite has Travis Scott. Who can we get? Snoop Dogg was in that one Battlefield event. Let's ask him. And that's
well,
how
he
this
was he
happened.
was a voice pack in COD Ghost, which I remember was pretty cool. Back when they used to do voice packs, but yeah, it's still a weird choice. And I think he's got voice lines in Zombies. I think I read, but no one's playing Vanguard Zombies, so.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's surprising. We got Attack on Titan now. We got Snoop Dogg. Brilliant crossover. This is amazing. But yeah. Anyways, speaking of the Call of Duty developers, Infinity Ward has gone dark on social media. Apparently, this is to hype up, the next game, which is rumored to be announced on April 30th. So April 30th would be a weird day because that is a Saturday. But yeah, that's what the rumor is, I guess. I'm guessing this is gonna be Modern Warfare 2 remake. I don't know, whatever. It's probably gonna be a continuation of Modern Warfare 2019. I'm guessing
Yeah,
2020.
they
I don't know.
I know Activision have already said in like some of their investor calls that they are working on a sequel to Modern Warfare for
Hmm.
this year, but it just hadn't been like, officially announced as a game. I think the leaker that said recently it was coming on the 30th said that the full reveal is still in May, but he's heard they're doing something at the end of the month.
Okay.
And so he said the 30th of April because that's obviously the last day.
Yeah.
And then literally just before we started recording today, Infinity Ward set all their profile pictures and stuff to just black.
Yeah, the
So people are
typical.
thinking it's tying in and it's going to be some kind of countdown leading up to that. I don't know, like, because when I initially heard the April 30th, I just didn't believe it because the past two games have been revealed in August because of
Yeah.
Warzone. So, but I don't know if it's just because Vanguard is doing so poorly that they need to start hyping up the next game already. Because with both Modern Warfare and then even Cold War, like they were both really popular still post launch. Like they held players really well just because they had good like content after launch. Whereas I don't see anyone playing Vanguard anymore like at all really. Just because it hasn't had great content post launch, and even Warzone, I don't think many people really play it too much anymore. So I think they want to start hyping it up. Whether this is going to be Modern Warfare 2 reveal or Warzone 2, because I know like they're meant to be doing a new version of Warzone just for next gen, or at least that's the rumor right now, and people aren't too sure whether it's going to come alongside Modern Warfare or if they're going to do what they did with the last one and wait until like March next year, and release it separately. Um, so who knows? But I'm interested to see if it does get revealed this early because it's been a few years since they've done like a May reveal. So
I literally only played Vanguard for like a day. I'm not even kidding. Like I think I bought it like that Friday night, and I played
it
like
was when we
Friday
were
night
talking about it. I think we were
and
talking about it on the
Saturday.
podcast, right?
Yeah, we did talk about it a bit. Then we played together like one day. I think the last time I
We
touched that game,
played.
Charlie, was when we played together.
I don't know. Did we play the? I don't know if we even played the full game together. I feel like we only played the beta together.
No,
I
we
can't
played the
even
multiplayer
remember.
together.
I don't even remember, man. I
I
haven't played
think.
it since December, so that was when I last played.
Oh well, I haven't played since like November.
I mean, I played a lot, but it didn't after the Warzone map came out. Like, I just didn't care for any of the maps they
Didn't you
added, and I just
prestige
didn't
like the
really want to
first
go back.
weekend the game came out or something like that?
Yeah, I got to Prestige 2, Prestige 3. I think Prestige 2
Damn. Yeah.
in that first week. Like, I really enjoyed it in that first few weeks. But just the content they added post launch just didn't bring me back at all. Um,
I think
and
I
I
only
think
had 5 hours on that game.
it was also the zombies, man. Like, I was really excited for zombies, and it was just massively disappointing. And they still haven't added anything to that to make me want to go back. To the point where they're actually doing a new Easter egg in Cold War next week. So, that's where zombies is at right now, where they're still supporting the previous game because they know that people don't like zombies in this one. So, yeah.
Damn, that's crazy. Yeah, it is what it is. I do regret buying that. That was like the first time I regret buying a Call of Duty, to be honest. Uh, yeah, it is what it is. Hopefully, like I know they're doing their whole like 2-year development cycle now, where it's like they'll skip a year. So I'm glad they're doing it with Infinity Awards game, because if it was with Vanguard, I just literally wouldn't touch Call of Duty for like the next year and a half. So hopefully
Because,
this
yeah,
game's good.
I think this is the one that they like is the best one to do it on because I think if it's going to
Hmm.
be anything like the last one, it'll do really well and it'll probably be very
Yeah,
good because I really enjoyed Modern Warfare 2019. So
exactly.
if
Same.
if it's anything like that with maybe slightly better maps because I think some of the maps were pretty weak in 2019, then I think it'll be a really really good game. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see on that one.
Just give me that 2v2 mode again, and I'll be good.
Yeah, gunfight was it? Yeah, gunfight was
Yeah, that
great.
was a great mode. Yeah, and a good campaign. Solid title, I'm not gonna lie. Alright, anyways, probably one of the weirder, bizarre stories you'll hear on the podcast is the fact that The Rock is set to executive produce an It Takes Two movie for Amazon Prime. And apparently he might also star in a role. I know Charlie said he wanted him to be the book. I love how this is becoming a movie because I love how Joseph Harris has been like for years, like talking about how games are much better than the movies and even saying fuck the Oscars. And now we're here making a movie for It Takes Two. I love how we're come full circle. It's gonna be for Amazon Prime, so that's cool. Yeah, just very bizarre. I don't know how this is gonna translate to a movie because It Takes Two. The whole reason I loved the game was because of how fun it was to play in co-op with someone and how often they changed the gameplay mechanics. So like everything I loved about the game is tied to it being a game. So it'll be really interesting to see what they do with this. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I obviously know why they're doing this. The game probably sold really well and people liked it, but it's a bizarre pick for sure. What'd you think about that, Charlie?
Yeah, I mean, like I can see a movie working just because of the plot of the game, right? Like it is very much like a light-heart, even though it's a serious tone, it's like a light-hearted family film, I guess, is probably the best way of putting it. Like I could definitely see it happening, so I'm not surprised they're doing one. I'm just surprised The Rock is involved. I don't understand why he's involved. Like it's such a weird one, and then the fact that he might star in it, I'm like, but who would he play? That's why
It's
I
like
was like,
literally Jumanji if he plays as the father. Oh
like
my god.
I don't think he'd be one of the parents, but honestly, if he
No,
was the
he'll be the
book,
book.
it would
Yeah,
make
it'll
no
work.
sense. But I'd love to see it. It's just for the memes, and if it's live action as well, just this hench book thing, like I don't, I don't even know. I just want to see it. So yeah, I'm interested to see how it turns out, but yeah, I don't know, man. It's a weird one, especially because like Joseph Fares started out as a movie director, but he's not involved in this in any way, which I
That's
think
the
is really
weirdest
odd.
part. Yeah.
So Yeah, it's a weird one, but I'm interested to see what happens with it.
Because he's a game developer now. He's working on his next game, not the
It's
movie.
true, yeah.
And speaking of video game movies, Jason Momoa is planning to star in the Minecraft movie. So, yeah, gotta love all these game movies coming out. We got Mario, Chris Pratt, got The Rock, and It Takes Two, and now we got Jason Momoa in Minecraft. The weirdest part about this Minecraft movie is the fact that apparently they're trying to adapt Minecraft story mode, which is
Yeah, I
so
saw that,
weird.
yeah.
That's so weird. Like, I don't. Did Minecraft story mode do well? Did it sell well? I'm guessing it must have if they're doing it.
Probably, yeah. I mean, it's Minecraft, and at the time, that was like, I think that was the only thing that was keeping Telltale alive for a few years, right? Like, I think
I
that's
guess
why they
so.
kept making them, because it was
Yeah.
like the only thing that was actually making profit, whereas everything else they were just like losing money on it. Um,
Yeah. I hope
but
it's a
yeah,
comedy.
this is just another weird one, man. Like, I just don't get it. Like, although I did see who he's meant to be playing, and I saw the look of the character, and I was like, okay, maybe it makes sense. I did play a bit of the first story mode, but I don't really remember. It was a long time ago. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like all these movie studios just saw that everyone like memed Chris Pratt in Mario, and they're like, "Wow, we need to have a really weird actor play some random video game character, and then we'll go viral." I feel like that's all these things are. Like,
Yeah.
it's just so weird. Like, after everyone just saw the entire casting list for Mario, they were just like, who's the most like serious or weird actor we can get to play some random dude in this Minecraft building movie?" I don't I don't know.
Yeah, I know the. I think it was like the director that did Napoleon Dynamite's working on the Minecraft movie, so it has to be like a comedy. I'm just trying to think of how this is supposed to be. Like, how are you gonna see Jason Momoa in like a cube world? Like, this is gonna be so bizarre, man. I don't know how they're adapting this. I
No,
I'm,
it's
I'm
gonna be
on board
live
for all of
action. They're
these
gonna wear
gaming
block
movies.
suits.
Yeah, it's the funniest thing because I'm looking forward to all these gaming movies more than like the Uncharted movie or like Tomb Raider movies because the stuff is gonna be hilarious just to see them try to adapt it. Which I kind of like how they're going for a comedy route. It's just gonna be funny to see them do it. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting for sure. Yeah, I guess we'll move on though, but I can't wait. Anyways, God of War Ragnarok update here, small one. I believe was it like Corey Barlog that hopped on the Sony Santa Monica Twitter or something like that. But
Yeah.
he essentially said that the game is still on track for 2022, and that they'll show the game when it's ready. It felt really weird for them to do it now. I'm guessing they did it because it was God of War's like fourth anniversary, or I think it was 4 year
Yeah, it's
anniversary.
fourth. Yeah.
Yeah, so 420. Yeah, so guessing that's why. As soon as I saw that tweet, I'm like, hold on, is there like a Sony event that just got announced and they're already saying they're not going to be there? But yeah, it's just because of the anniversary. I don't know. For me, like Ragnarok still doesn't feel like it's going to come out in 2022, but the trailer they did showed like a lot of the game, and it seemed like they're like doing pretty good in development, right? But you never know. Uh, yeah, I'm honestly still torn because like yeah, I don't know. I don't know what else they'd release this year if they don't have it. I mean, I guess they have like the Last of Us remake and stuff, but it's so weird. It's just so bizarre. I don't know where God of War Ragnarok is. I mean, he says it's still on track for 2022, so I guess you could take it at face value. When it would release, I don't know, September, October. I feel like Sony doesn't really like to go anywhere past October though. But yeah, what are your thoughts on that, Charlie?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of saw this coming mainly because the like few days leading up to the anniversary, there was tons of people like starting to like speculate that something was gonna happen on the anniversary, and being like,
Mm.
"Oh, we're gonna get a release date reveal. We're gonna get gameplay. We're gonna get an event." And I was just like, "But Sony never do it. Like, they always announce that stuff on like a Tuesday or a Wednesday, I think it is, and they didn't say anything." Or it might have been Monday or Tuesday, but yeah, nothing had been said. So I was like, yeah, I just don't see this happening. So when that video came out, I was like, okay, fair enough. Um, but I'm glad they did it and they didn't just stay quiet. Like, they did do a video and they were like, hey, we know you want to see stuff. We're not quite ready to show it, but when it is, like, we'll show you as much as we can. I don't think it was Corey that said it's still 2022. It was some other developer was saying it's still
Oh,
this
okay.
year. But I mean, all the like rumors and stuff have said that development's going really well on it, so they'd be surprised if it does get delayed. Like it's easily like I think this is definitely them. Like this is their big release for the end of the year, right? Like this is probably going to be October time. Maybe November, but like you said, they don't usually go past that date, so I don't know. where they place it. I'd say probably October, maybe November at a push. Um, but yeah, I'm excited for it whenever we do see it, but I imagine they'll just wait until the summer now. They'll probably do a state of play just for God of War, right? And then they'll do a release date around then, maybe even Gamescom. They did that with Horizon, so I wouldn't be surprised if they had it at Gamescom or something. Um,
But
but yeah,
Gamescom makes sense for Horizon because it's in Europe, right?
I suppose so, but I think that was more just like timing more than they're in
Oh,
Europe.
okay.
I think it was more just they were ready to. Well, I said they were ready to reveal a date, but then that wasn't even the final date, was it? So I don't know. But yeah, like I think we definitely see it over the summer. I think it could easily get its own event before like Sony do a big event, right? Because I
Yeah.
remember Horizon had a state of play before it got its date revealed, didn't it? It just had one in the summer randomly, so
Yeah.
they could easily do the same thing for God of War. So yeah,
It's crazy to think of how like much of a company Sony has changed. Because remember when they used to like announce dates super early and then it always constantly
yeah,
be delaying them. Now it's like the polar opposite since the tail end of the PS4 generation. Now it's like you just won't hear from the game for years and then they'll announce a date, but they'll hit that date, which I think is a better way to go about it. But yeah, it's bizarre. But yeah, cool to see that we got an update on the game. Yeah, I just honestly, I'll play it when it comes out, right? Like I'm not super like following it really. Like I loved the first game. Uh, I had issues with it, but yeah, like I genuinely liked it, and I just yeah can't wait to see what they do next. Anyways, Sega's reportedly developing a big budget reboot for both Crazy Taxi and Jet Set Radio. Yeah, there's a rumor as it's both in early development. I know Jet Set Radio for sure has been thrown around for a while now, as people wanting that game to return. Not haven't really heard much for Crazy Taxi, but that's cool. Do you know the source for this, Charlie? Who said
it was
this?
Bloomberg.
Bloomberg. Okay, so
Yeah,
yeah, this is probably real then. That's cool. I haven't played either of these. Jet Set Radio, I've seen a lot of footage on. I know it was often compared to like Sunset Overdrive as like an inspiration. But yeah, what are your thoughts on this?
yeah. I think it's weird that it's taken this long for them to start development on these, especially Jet Set Radio, because it's such like a cult classic at this point.
Yeah,
I've played bits of it, but I didn't play it when I was younger. I played it a few years back on PC. But Crazy Taxi, I remember playing a lot as a kid. So, something like that coming back would be pretty cool. But yeah, I don't know. I say like I'm surprised it's taken them this long. I also don't know where they'd fit in the market. Like Crazy Taxi, especially, I just don't see being really popular these days. Jet Set Radio, I could see probably doing well anyway, just because it's got that like cult following now. But I don't know like who you market that to, right? Like it's just one of those games. It was a bit weird when it came out, hence why it never got a sequel anyway. So yeah, I'm interested to see how these turn out. I know they were saying in the article both are in like really early development, so it could easily get cancelled. Um, but they wanted to report on it because they'd heard quite a few like rumors and stuff. So yeah, a weird story, but at the same time also not surprising.
yeah, just surprising it took this long for sure.
Yeah.
But cool to see that it's in early development and by a credible source like Bloomberg. That's awesome. Anyways, you don't often see this in the gaming industry, but we actually got to push forward for a game for once. Yeah, Xenoblade 3 has been pushed forward from September to July 29th. And I guess I'll just announce it here. This kind of makes sense because Splatoon 3 was recently delayed to September 9th. So honestly, the way Nintendo works is they often have like a lot of games ready. And they kind of just wait for the perfect time for them to be released. So I wouldn't be surprised if they were just like, Splatoon 3 needs more time, and we already have Xenoblade 3 pretty much done, so we're just gonna, push it forward from September to July 29th. It's only about like a month and a half, but yeah, that's cool. Splatoon 3 definitely made more sense for a summer game, but obviously, if it's not ready, it's not ready. Yeah, get that more time in the oven. A lot of people want that game to be good, including myself. I love Splatoon 2. Yeah, Xenoblade's one of those series I need to get into. Yeah, I have a friend from college who was constantly talking about Xenoblade and Nier Automata, so I'll definitely have to try it at some point. But cool to see it get pushed forward. Yeah, what are your thoughts on both of those, Charlie?
Yeah, I was surprised when I first heard about Xenoblade. I actually had it written on the doc before we like, because I wrote it yesterday before the Splatoon announcement. I was like, possibly due to other game delay, maybe Splatoon 3, because I was like, in my head, I thought Splatoon 3 would be like June, July. So clearly it was just like you said, Xenoblade 3 was basically ready. Splatoon 3 needed a bit more time, so they swapped the dates around. It makes a lot of sense. They did also, alongside the announcement of Splatoon 3, they had like a trailer. Not really a trailer, but just like a small gameplay bit of like just a normal match. Um, it looks basically like Splatoon 2 to the point where I'm like, did they really need to do another full game? I was like, you
Hmm.
probably could have done like an expansion for 2, to be honest. But I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I'm sure they'll do like a big blowout, probably a direct where they go over like the campaign and any new modes if there are any outside of like the revamped co-op and stuff. Because I mean, I'm gonna get it. I love both the first two games, so I'm sure it's gonna be good. It's just I don't know whether it's gonna like warrant the three, right? Like I don't know if there's gonna be enough new stuff there outside of just like new abilities and stuff. That's gonna warrant it being a full-on sequel, but I guess we'll wait and see. Because from what I saw, it looked the same, just with some new abilities and stuff.
Yeah, I'm looking at the footage right now, and like you could tell me this is Splatoon 2, and I'd believe you.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, I saw Kit from Nintendo, or it used to be from Nintendo. They
Yeah.
do Nintendo Minute. He tweeted out that he doesn't think like Splatoon 3 really looks like a sequel yet. And I agree. I definitely agree. I think it looks more like an expansion or like, the same systems just with new content. Like pretty
Yeah.
much an expansion. Like it doesn't look like they're changing anything fundamentally. Hopefully they prove us wrong. Obviously, the gameplay core, at its core is like the same thing as it should be, but show us why this is different. Hopefully, they'll do some cool stuff at least with the campaign or the co-op. Um, don't make the co-op like some weirdly timed thing like they did with two. That would be a good start. But yeah, honestly, I just hope that like what we saw of that campaign originally looked like a lot like the Octo expansion, which I know you, Charlie, you played it. Yeah, it's a really good, solid expansion for the game. So if they go more into like the Octo expansion, like campaign, I'd love that because that was really fun. Yeah, honestly, like I'm looking forward to it. I'm not thinking it's gonna be anything like crazy. Like I'm just thinking more Splatoon, right? So I hope they prove me wrong, but that's kind of where my expectations are at the moment. And yeah. Anyways, a funny twist of fate is that Amy Hennig's leading yet another Star Wars project. Yeah, so we know. I think we knew that she's been teamed up with Skydance for quite some time now, but we didn't really know what they were working on. And then like this week, she announced that she's working on a Star Wars game. So, yeah, I think they're also working on a Marvel game from the past that they know is already announced. So this is like a second project. It surprised me at first, but I'm also like not surprised because probably makes sense that she's in that Star Wars headspace if she was already like, deep into the development of the game she was working on at Visceral, right? So, yeah, it's just crazy. I don't think she's released a game in over 11 years. So, honestly, man, I just want her to release a game and have that satisfaction of it because that's crazy. Yeah, ultimately, that's cool. She's working on Marvel and Star Wars. Hopefully, we get some cool projects out of those. I don't think it's been announced yet what she's working on for Marvel yet. Or Star Wars, but yeah, I imagine it's probably like a third person Star Wars game or something like that. Like she usually is good at, So, yeah, what are your thoughts on that, Charlie?
As you can imagine, I'm super excited, right? Like I was heavily invested in when she was working on Ragtag at Visceral. Like that game sounded awesome. So if it turns out anything like what that game could have been, then count me in. I know some leakers have said that from what they've heard, it is going to be based in like the Rebellion era, so like the original trilogy, like Ragtag was. Whether it will be the same kind of premise, I don't know, because I don't know how like much should be allowed to use because I don't know if like EA would take ownership over like the ideas that she had and stuff. So who knows how that all works. But I hope she gets to do something similar because that just sounded like Uncharted meets Star
Hmm.
Wars Bounty Hunter, and that sounded very cool to me. So if she gets to do something like that, I'm totally in. But the fact that she's working like leading two projects is insane to me.
That is
Like she's leading
crazy.
a Marvel and a Star Wars game. The Marvel game they haven't like announced what it is outside of narrative-driven action adventure. But I know there's been a lot of rumors that it's an Ant-Man game. It was either Ant-Man or Fantastic Four were the two like big rumors. Um, but I think more people are leaning towards Ant-Man in the end, which is a weird one, but I think it could
That
be
is a
really
weird
cool.
one.
Like it's like the last Marvel character you'd think for like a game, just because he's such a weird character, but
Get
like
us some cool
gameplay wise,
environments while you're small.
like environments and like gameplay wise, you could do some really cool stuff with him. So I'm excited to see how both these games turn out. I imagine they're both quite far off, but especially the Star Wars game. I mean, she's been working, like she basically made the Skydance new media studio. I think it was like middle of 2019. So they've been at it for roughly 3 years now. So I think that Marvel game could probably get announced this year, since they announced that they are working on a Marvel game earlier in the year. So I think it's totally possible we see what it is this year, and maybe next year it comes out. But I don't know. But the Star Wars game, I imagine, is very early on, so that's probably a ways off. But either way, it's cool to see that she may finally get to release not one but two games, and one of them may be Star Wars. So
Yeah,
yeah.
that's true. That's awesome. Yeah, good for her. And hopefully we'll see the Marvel game announced sooner. Whatever one of these games, that's further along, probably the Marvel one, soon enough here. So yeah, that's awesome. Anyways, Charlie, I know people have been like mad about this next news story. So if you know anything about this, you could probably announce this one.
Yeah, so there was like a few rumors that a new Sonic like collection was happening over the weekend. I think it was like rated in Korea, and then some like box art showed up on like the PlayStation Store or something. But basically, Sega announced they're doing a Sonic Origins collection, which is coming out in June, the 23rd of June. It's going to include 1, 2, 3, and Sonic CD, which is cool because those games are great, and like it's cool to have them on current gen. But the weird thing that they announced is that they're doing like a deluxe, and I think like a super digital deluxe or some kind of edition. And basically they've cut out like weird modes just to put in these editions, like to get like some music tracks for like the bonus modes you have to buy the deluxe edition. And I think there's like some extra like classic art styles and stuff that you can only get if you buy the digital deluxe and stuff. Like it's really weird. It's like, yeah, randomly, like it's not even content that you think they'd cut and it's worth it. Like I don't understand why. It's just such a weird choice. So yeah, I don't know. It's a
It's
weird one.
very bizarre. So many Sonic stuff going on. I feel overwhelmed, but I do want to play a Sonic game here soon. I know I got like two of them from PS Plus. Obviously, I'm probably not going to touch Sonic Forces, whatever. I'll probably play the Sonic Mania one, which I know is like made by some a smaller studio. So yeah, that's probably going to be the first one I do. Yeah, that's interesting. I feel like, yeah, it's a very bizarre way to price things out and such a weird plan. Whatever. I know that the internet's ripping them up, so once that doesn't sell well, they'll be like, "Why is this not selling well?" Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
they'll backtrack on it next week. I'm calling it now.
yeah, it's bizarre. Anyways, this next news story seems really exciting at first, but once you hear more details, you'll be probably more hesitant. So, a new Tales from the Borderlands was announced for this year. I was personally very excited when I first saw this tweet, but then you find out that they're doing a new cast of characters, which kind of hurts already. And then it's also being developed by Gearbox, which is also probably like a even bigger nail in the coffin for me. So yeah, very exciting news story in the very beginning, but with the details trickling out, not so sure. Obviously, the cast of characters not returning sort of makes sense because obviously you can make different choices and stuff like that. Not that they couldn't solve that, like Walking Dead solved that with like season 3 when they like introduced a new cast of characters alongside Clem, but yeah, I still feel like a lot of what makes Tales great is that dynamic of characters all together. So that's kind of like losing the whole charm of the game unless they, obviously have a better cast of characters or just as good waiting for us. But it's kind of hesitant to believe that. And then obviously Gearbox is a weird one because obviously they haven't really made like a Telltale like game before, so it's really weird to see them wanting to do this. They probably just know that this game is beloved by fans and they want to make money, right? So it's just a business move really at the end of the day. Hopefully they hire some people that know what they're doing because it's a weird game for Gearbox to tackle for sure. Like sure they're like experts in terms of Borderlands, but in terms of how to make a Telltale game, yeah, it's kind of a weird pick for sure. What are your thoughts on that, Charlie?
Yeah, like you, I'm kind of mixed on it, right? It's a weird one mainly because it was almost like they weren't planning to reveal it. Tom Henderson literally the day before this was revealed, after he'd like made a ton of articles about other publishers and stuff, tweeted at 2K and said like you're next, because he was planning to leak stuff, and then they revealed this, and he tweeted out saying like they beat him to it. So I don't know if he was planning to leak this, and 2K were like, "Shit, we gotta reveal this," because they were at PAX East and they announced it at like the end of their panel.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, "Oh, we're gonna properly announce it this summer." So I wonder if maybe they just kind of tried to get ahead of Tom and reveal it before he leaked it, which is quite funny. Um, but yeah, I'm kind of like it's weird because so they announced it's like new characters and new stories and stuff, which is fair enough. You know, you want to do something different. But then the image they use for the teaser is Reese and the other girl walking into the pool at the end
Yeah,
of the first game. So I was like, that's a weird image to
weird
use
image
because
to use. Yeah.
you're sending mixed messages there. Because to me, that says you're going to continue the story, especially when you're keeping the same name, Tales from the Borderlands. Um, like, I'm of two minds where either because they've said it's been in development for a few years now, so either they've hired some people that worked on it at Telltale and they're helping them to write it. Cool, it might turn out pretty good. But they didn't say that in the press announcement, so probably not. Or two, they're simply using the name and people's love of Tales from the Borderlands to cash grab, which I think is more likely because it's Gearbox. So I wouldn't be surprised if this ends up not being anywhere near as good. Because I didn't like Borderlands 3. I've been enjoying Wonderlands. I haven't played as much as I want to just because there's been issues with the multiplayer. But the writing in that is a hell of a lot better. So maybe that's a sign that, they've got some good writers on board now at Gearbox. So maybe it'll be better. But I'm very hesitant right now just because the press release was very, like, weirdly worded and tried to avoid, connecting it to the old games or the old team in any way possible. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's very bizarre. It just totally feels like they're, utilizing the IP and wanting to make some money. But hopefully it
Yeah.
turns out well. Just, yeah, like you said, mixed messaging with that image they chose. And yeah, I don't know, man. Low expectations, but hopefully it's good. Anyways, we'll end off with a pretty big showcase here, the Metagaming Showcase. I have not yet watched this. I know Charlie did, and he said it was pretty good. But we'll go over some of the announcements here, and Charlie will give more details, I'm sure. So, first of all, they announced Red Matter 2. Unless you're in the VR community, you probably haven't heard of the original Red Matter, but it's one of the better linear games, at least that you could find on Steam and PSVR. One of the better puzzle games. For sure. So that's awesome to see. Aspire 2, this one I had mentioned in the Discord. Aspire 1's like notorious for like being so promising based on its trailer and then releasing and just falling flat. There's just so many things wrong with that game. I remember people were talking about that at launch. Yeah, I have no idea if that got better as time went on. I kind of just moved on, but hopefully Aspire 2 fixes that. I know they have like co-op campaign or something like that. Looks kind of interesting. Moss Book 2. I'm guessing this is for Quest 2, right, Charlie? Because Moss Book 2, I believe, is
Yeah.
already out on PSVR. Yeah, so the sequel to Moss, that's cool. That's got announced there. And then, I think you predicted this, Charlie, but a Beat Saber music pack. Is this a new artist, or is this like a original
It's like
OST?
an electronic one, so there's like a load of different artists. I think there's like Dead Mouse and
Okay,
Marshmallow. Like there's some of the tracks in there were pretty cool. I think Darude
nice.
Sandstorm's on there as well, which is funny.
Bruh,
So yeah, it looks like it's gonna be a good pack.
that's crazy. That's cool. Good collaborations there. And then we talked about this earlier, but Resident Evil 4 Mercenaries, which I believe is already out now. Ghostbusters VR. You gotta fill me out on this one. How big are we talking about?
Well, it's being made by Endreams, who
Okay.
have done a few like semi big VR games. They most recently did
Mm-hmm.
Fract on PSVR,
Fracked,
which
yeah.
is also coming to PC VR next month. So I'm excited to check that one out when it
Oh,
does release.
sweet.
The trailer didn't get me too excited because it looks very cartoony. Um, But I'll hold out hope because it looked kind of like the old real Ghostbusters cartoon, which I used to watch as a kid. So maybe it'll be decent, but it looked kind of weird. But it was all CG. It wasn't actual in-game footage. I think this was also the only game here that wasn't announced for this year, so I don't know if it is this year or not, because everything else here was announced for 2022.
Gotcha. Okay.
But yeah, it looks like it could be interesting. I think it is like a campaign. It's not like 4v1 like the Dead by Daylight game or whatever, the similar game. Like it is a co-op campaign, or you can play it single player, which makes sense because they do like campaign-based games.
Cool. Ghostbusters would work really well for VR, so that's cool. I'm just saying, like, things fall through like through the ceiling and through the walls. That's cool. And then finally, this is like Charlie's biggest news story of the month. Bone Lab was finally revealed publicly. I'll let you explain everything because I'm not sure where this takes place in the Boneworks universe or anything like that. So yeah, you can go over it.
Yeah, they've been kind of like mysterious about it. Obviously, this is Project 4 that I've like spoken about a few times on the podcast, but like I'm a massive fan of Stress Level Zero's games, especially Boneworks. Like I absolutely adore that game. So basically, all we know right now is that it is set in the same universe as their other games, so it is connected to Boneworks, and it is to do with the same like lore of being in MythOS, which is like the OS like virtual reality thing that they have in their universe. All they've said about the plot is you're playing as some guy that was trying to like, I think they say he was trying to do like a seance or something, and ended up being like dragged into some underground lab. In the trailer you see him like in this weird like cave system, and he's like walking around with a torch and stuff. And then goes into like the more traditional Boneworks looking like labs and stuff. It seems to be there's new weapons. They've got shotguns in it, which was a big thing that they cut from Boneworks because they couldn't get it to work properly. So it's cool they've got it there. It looks like they've redone a lot of the climbing as well because it looked a little bit smoother as well, which is nice. But I think the big thing is that it's going to have like official modding support, which apparently is going to be a part of the plot. I don't really know how it's going to work, but they've basically said the game is kind of like 50% content they've made and 50% like user generated content, and that to continue the story you'll have to take part in like doing like user generated levels and like sandbox levels and like the tactical trial like speed run type challenges to continue through the campaign, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, it seems to be they're going all out for official mod support, which is cool because they never supported it in Boneworks, but it has a pretty big modding community that they just never supported officially. So it's cool they're doing that, although they haven't said if it's going to have like Steam Workshop support. But interestingly, mod support is going to be on Quest. I don't really know how that's going to work. I think Blade and Sorcery has like mod support on Quest as well, but I've never tried it, so I can't speak to how that's gonna pan out. But yeah, it all sounds really cool. I know they've said there's no actual like main character. You can literally use any 3D model, they said, which I don't know how that's gonna work. But they said if you want to, you could scan yourself as a 3D model and then put it in the game and play as yourself if you really want to. If you go to that much effort.
How does that work, climbing and all that, and like physics? What?
I don't know. I imagine that there's a like already a base 3D skeleton, right? And then you're putting a 3D model over it. I know that when you play the game, you can also pick like your weight and stuff. You kind of see it at the start of the trailer. He like moves his hands over his body to select like how heavy he is, and apparently that will have an effect on like how quick you move and how much damage you deal or how much health you have, that kind of thing, which is kind of interesting as well that they're doing something like that. And I know they've said you being able to pick your own model also has kind of a lore thing of like if you're using the built-in skins, it's meant to be like an officially supported thing in the OS, but if you decided to like mod Mario into the game, it's like you're using an illegal mod in the fictional operating system. I was like, this is all kind of weird and cool, but I'm interested to see how it pans out. It's meant to come out this year. I imagine they're going to start doing videos on Node like they did for Boneworks back in the day. They were meant to do a video on it like last year, so like this has been in the works for a while now, like 2.5 years. So I'm very much excited for this one. As you can tell, it's probably my most anticipated game now. So yeah,
That's awesome. Yeah, I loved Boneworks when I first started playing it. It was just, yeah, I was just playing it on Quest. It was very uncomfortable
yeah,
for like long periods of time. But I did play through a few hours of the game. It was really fun. Just very, I don't know, I just love physics in VR. So the fact that Boneworks is just centered on that, you just kind of create your own fun while at the same time still having like a linear campaign. It was just really, really, really a good time. So yeah, cool to see. Like I was talking to you about it, the environments look a lot cooler in this one. Probably just going to be like what they learned from Boneworks and hopefully get a better game here. So that's awesome.
yeah.
And yeah, just another game to add to the pile of great VR games, I'm sure. So that's exciting. Anyways, yeah, that's been it for episode 65 of Critically Incorrect. A lot to talk about. So yeah, thanks for joining us again this week. And yeah, we'll see you next week for episode 66. Take care.
See you later.